Hello and welcome to a DV247 exclusive look at the Akai Professional MAX 49. It's an impressive looking creature, as you can see. We've only just had it come into the building, so we thought we'd take a look at the various things it's capable of, foremost of which is the mapping function, which we just very, very quickly on the Mac here set up the auto mapping feature. We told the computer or the Akai Connect software exactly where all our VSTs were, and it immediately made little duplicates of those within Ableton, which we can then select straight away, and without any hassle at all, we can map absolutely everything to these touch faders, which are pretty nifty in themselves, and if necessary to the pads as well. So we're going to take you through various things this can do, and actually have a look at the build quality as well while we're here. So as you can see, there are 8 touch faders here, all of them with a handy little LED, so you can see exactly where your finger's falling, and then a bank selection number of buttons here as well. So here's my massive screen. For instance, we just picked a synth which we think most of you will probably have and use. In this case, looking at what's on, I can sort of select which of these faders actually will do things. If you can see that the intensity and the amp are both manipulated there, I can move through. So actually, it's actually incredibly fast, and as I select different banks, it takes me to different areas and so on. And what's nice about that is that really I don't have to move whatsoever from my keyboard at all to get through the entire list. I mean, you can map everything individually yourself. The attributes we've got have all just come straight from the auto mapping, but if you need to, then you can tinker and assign every single individual fader and bank to whichever attribute you like. So here's our massive synth. Sounding pretty ominous. And we can quite happily change that around a little bit and mess with the intensity there and the amp. As you can see below the LED panel here, there are also transport controls. So when you're using a DAW, you don't need to step away from the keyboard really whatsoever. As long as you're sort of just in the mood to be recording, stopping and rewinding and so on, all you need to do is be here rather than having to do any sort of mouse clicking on the laptop itself. You've got MIDI and sequencer buttons, as well as the tap tempo, which is obviously pretty vital for a lot of the patches that you might want to be using. There's also a toggle wheel here, a jog, which can take you through the various options, which you can then push to click as well. So it's all very sort of tactile, it's all very logical as well. I mean, anyone who's used even a basic DAW before will kind of understand what they're looking at here. So again, to give you an idea of how well this MAX 49 actually maps to your VSTs, let's fire up battery without doing anything else at all, nothing to do with the keyboard whatsoever, and load up a kit, and right from the off, everything is immediately hooked up. There's also pad banks as well next to the pads, so that you can cycle through up to 48 different samples at once, which is incredibly helpful. They're also velocity sensitive, so for playing in your little sort of, you can do little rolls, and so on. The pads themselves are actually incredibly responsive. I'm sure in the past you've used quite kind of tough alternatives where you're actually having to really hammer them home to get kind of the hardest hits. In this case, actually, it picks up even the very soft touches very nicely indeed. Next to the pads, you've got your modulation and pitch wheels. They're incredibly sturdy, nice and smooth, and springy to the touch as well. In fact, overall, the build quality is pretty impressive here. The key bed itself is actually quite a sturdy thing too. The keys here they will push back. For a lot of fast work, as long as you've got enough of an attack on you when you're playing, then it'll be quite a boon, actually. There's a nice springy, fast response. So also, just going to turn the 49 around, because it's got quite a lot of nifty features around the back too. The chassis itself is sturdy, and also pretty good looking as well. There's sort of like a marbled red finish. I don't know if you can pick that out on the camera, but it looks great. So whereas the MIDI out and MIDI in, for those of you who are looking to kind of incorporate this into your existing rig, there is notably a CV out as well, which I'm sure will make a huge difference to some of you, so hooking up between your analog and MIDI gear. There's also inputs for expression and sustain pedals as well. So if you're kind of a serious player, rather than just sort of inputting notes, then you can go that extra mile as well. Included with the MAX 49 is obviously the manual, which is incredibly easy to understand, and then also CDs of Ableton Lite, which you can install if you don't have a DAW already. I'm sure you probably do, and also the Akai Connect software. We'll just bring that up here so you can see. There are individual options for control mapping, but if you go to plugin mapping, Here's everything we've got on the laptop at the moment in this VST folder. We just gave it the path name. It brings up a list, and you can tell it which of these you want wrapping and immediately mapping to the keyboard. When we hit yes to all, it took 10 seconds for it to figure out what's going on, and then everything was live. So it's a pretty fantastic way of doing things without any complication whatsoever, especially since controllers have in the past been notoriously difficult to map to things. This is a bit of a breath of fresh air in that respect. So that's the Akai Professional Max 49 USB, MIDI and CV keyboard controller. It'd make a perfect addition to those of you who've got quite an eclectic mix of gear in the studio, and the build quality itself is absolutely stunning too. So do check it out.